Second.
I have a move and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving to the next item is number 5, election of officers. We have to take up the election of officers. Under the bylaws, the board will have a president, vice president, and secretary treasurer, which we will elect every 2 years. So I'll now open nominations from the floor, meaning any member may bring forth a nomination, and we can begin with the office of president. I get a move and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I would move that we finish the slate of officer, vice president, secretary, treasurer, to mirror the not sub-districts.
Exhibition hall.
The exhibition, yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Item number 6 is consideration of pilot incentive for the new Shell facility. This is basically what we considered before.
Yeah, so this is the pilot itself, and just a brief overview, because I know you've heard a lot of stuff in the media, you've heard a lot of stuff in the comments earlier. To make it very, very clear, what you're doing today is you're taking a piece of property that has collected 0 sales taxes for 23 years. You're agreeing to extend that for 15 more years. That will possibly forego $21 million in taxes. In exchange, you're going to get $57 million in taxes over the same 15 years. You're going to get $5 million from a private company that will be dedicated and restricted to affordable housing, 450 affordable units. You're going to be potentially saving 1,000 New Orleanian jobs at Shell, creating 300 new direct jobs at Shell, and creating 876 new indirect jobs because of Shell's presence, and will be contributing to $127 million in annual payroll that is injected into the New Orleans community every year. So I think by all accounts, you can't get a better deal than that. If somebody says, I'll give you $20 if you give me 40, I think everybody takes it every day of the week. We're giving up 21, we're getting 57 back, plus all the other benefits. And so that's what you're doing. And that's what's in these documents.
Mike, I have a question. Tell me and talk to me, and I'm channeling Mr. Burnside about any clawback provisions. What happens if certain benchmarks are not made? What happens if these affordable housing units aren't created? Talk to me about that.
So in the CEA that you adopted, there is a requirement that the houses are built. Construction commences on those affordable housing within 5 years. So that is a ironclad commitment. If that doesn't happen, there's a breach of that agreement. And obviously when you have a breach of an agreement, the agreement becomes void. So there'll be those penalties that are in there if that is breached. So we do have to do that first. The other thing is this has to be continuously used as an operations center for Shell. And so that is a requirement. Also the DBE and the higher NOLA requirements are in there. If there is a breach of those agreements, then the sub-district would send notice, written notice to the company, basically saying that you're in breach, you're in default with the agreement, and there would be a certain amount of days to cure that. If that's not cured, then there can be a move to terminate the lease. And so it's a very, very tight lease. And it ensures that what's promised is done. And we've supplemented that with the CEA. And so that was the big piece. The other thing is all of the data that will be submitted by the company every year to the sub-district, it has to be signed off by a CPA that is hired by the company. It also has to be signed off on a CPA that works for you. And so there's going to be transparency every year. There will be an annual report every single year. Anybody that wants to see that will be able to follow every single thing that happens. And quite honestly, if you're driving by the district and you see something that's not right, you can call, Commissioner President Harris and say, hey, we need to call up the developers and say, hey, we need to look at this. And so you have the ability to do that. So a very tough lease. We worked on it again with the convention center. I don't want to speak for them, but we went back and forth and worked on this. I know they had some additional changes, we accepted them all because they were all common sense things. We're all trying to get to the same place. So anything.
Yeah, just, we agree with those comments, and I think what we did was just clean up stuff. There wasn't anything material, so we're in favor of moving forward with this.
Commissioners, any comments?
I just have a question, just for clarity. The penalties for default, that's a financial penalty, yes?
Yes, up to termination.
Up to termination. Thank you.
That's the ultimate.
Commissioner Hammond?
Up to termination to me isn't a good compromise at the end of the day. If I can't do the housing and terminate my agreement on building the housing, then we still don't have no housing to build. So financially, especially she asked about financially, what is that financial burden? I have all the confidence in the world because I know when Archie and I came in, I believe that they're gonna do a good job. I've been knowing Tara for a long time. I think Tara's gonna do a good job. Things happen over years or whatever. But if it doesn't happen, what are the penalties outside of forfeiting that job? What is there any other burden outside of just, I don't think just losing the job is a penalty.
Right.
You lose the job anyway, and I gotta go on, I gotta go get a new contract, I gotta start from scratch again. That doesn't hunt with this dog here.
Sure, sure. No,
What other penalties are there besides, I lost the job because I didn't want to do it anyway?
sure. No, absolutely. I mean, right now in the pilot as it is, I mean, the penalties are really avoiding a termination of the lease agreement and removing the incentive. And so basically what that comes down to as a financial penalty is that would mean that the company would be required to pay approximately $1.4 million in a financial penalty because they're not, because there wouldn't be those taxes abated. So that's what it would come out to in all practicality. They would have to pay those taxes during the years that they did not meet the obligations.
But 1.4 million plus they lose the job.
Sir?
So they lose 1.4 million plus the job, they forfeit the job. That's
No, so they would just forfeit the tax incentive. The pilot incentive itself. And so right now, all you're granting to them is just the pilot incentive, which is the tax abatement. And so that's the only thing that you're given. So that's the only thing that can be taken away. Now, I think what you're also asking is there's also the master development agreement. And that's the agreement that the Exhibition Hall Authority entered into with RD&I. That has a significant number of additional restrictions and requirements that govern the entire agreement for the entire development of the River District. And so that's where you would really get into more of those penalties that I think you're referring to. Admittedly, that was not my part of this process, so I can't speak in detail to the master development agreement, but I can tell you that is where everything is in terms of making sure they meet the requirements of doing the development job overall. This just governs the shell pilot for the building.
Can you speak in the mic?
But no wonder why y'all can't, as loud as I normally am. But anyway, I deal with many contracts over the years and, I'll just use Harris as an example. They had to demolish. If you didn't finish in the time you needed to, right here at the city council, it was $10,000 a day that you didn't finish it. They wanted it on time. And I know that's full-fledged for this project, but I just thought there would be some type of other penalty. Now, there's other penalties in our thing that give it more than 1.4 million. And again, I am very confident that this team is going to do what they said they're going to do, but you always want to protect yourself. That's why we all take insurance out for automobiles, life, and everything else. So the insurance policy here is what is the penalty at the end of the day? You said they forfeit $1.4 million of tax incentives and they lose the job. What is it on our side, David Phelps, if you know?
We're talking about Shell's obligations under their lease. We wouldn't have any direct action against Shell, but against our master developer, if they have until.
The Shell would lose 1.4 million on.
So the master developer, who's actually, Cypress Larcella, who is the entity, the master development entity, that is in charge of building out the Shell facility. They are required, based on the contract between that entity and Shell, to meet certain construction obligations. So a lot of the things you're talking about, certain deadlines, getting it built in time, having financial penalties. They're also, as a master development entity, are also required to meet all the requirements in the master development agreement between RD&I and the Exhibition Hall Authority. And so those two agreements govern the overall development construction process, the process of this building. All this pilot is doing is basically saying that if you give them this tax incentive, that they agree to do what they've said that they would do in terms of building the building, or occupying the building, having the jobs, and dedicating the money, the savings from the tax, from the sales and use taxes to affordable housing. So that's all this is doing. This does not pertain to the construction of the building. This does not pertain to anything that they have to do other than Shell has to move into the building. As far as the construction of the building, that's a separate agreement.
Well, maybe this is, or maybe it's not time to ask this, but you said it, let's just say hypothetically 1,000 jobs we may lose if it was to move on, and I'd hate to see that. That's one of the big reasons why I'm for this project coming here, because not only I like to create the jobs that you're talking about, to build this project, but I like to save the jobs that these 1,000 people don't go to Houston and stay here. But with all that being said, do we have lease times and how long they have to keep those people? I'll refer back to Harris. With this city council right here, there's a certain number that they have to keep all the time. If they go 100, they have to pay a big fine, or they even can get shut down by the city council. And I'm not saying the restrictions ought to be harsh on them, but I'm just asking. Hypothetically, once again, 1 year from now, they bring 1,000 people here, we don't have nothing to keep us here, but I don't like where we at. We move on, so we built a brand new building. We can move from the one Shell Square. We got this building, everything's more involved in Shell to move to Houston. Is there a time on the lease, and is there a time that we're going to keep these 1,000 people employed and maybe even grow more in the future?
Sure. First off, they have.
I have no other questions for right now.
No, absolutely. I will take all of them. Absolutely. So first off, the lease that's been signed between the development entity, Cypress Larcella, and Shell is for 12 years with five-year renewals. And so so they have a significant lease. So that's the first part of it. The second part is, and this is what's really remarkable, the developers are going to spend about $100 million to build this facility. Shell is then going to come in on top of that and spend around 26 million of their own dollars to basically outfit it, because they want to do all of the interior stuff. And so they're going to invest $26 million in it as well. So, I mean, they've got a lease commitment as well as sinking in $26 million of their own money. And so, because of those things, as well as others, we're very confident that we've got protections in place.
Okay, only based on something you said, this is my last question.
I just stopped talking.
When does that 12 years start? When Shell moves in or from the town?
When they move in. Yes, sir.
All right, no further questions.
And there is,
Concern to say.
yeah, if I can just add, there's just one other piece, and Mike mentioned this briefly, but there is a provision in the pilot lease that says that they must maintain this office operating here. So this isn't something where they can put a nameplate on a door and turn the lights off and go somewhere. There's a commitment to operating the roughly 1,000-person office here.
And again, I have full confidence Shell wants to be here.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
it's
yeah.
something new.
Yep.
But
That's a great
you
question.
need your insurance
Absolutely.
before you move forward. That's
Yep.
all.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, commissioners? All right, can I get a move?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And also on this one as well, on the resolution, we're going to do the same thing that we did in the previous meeting to the section 2. Whereas we just need an amendment to add the language that it's the subdistrict is hereby approved and direct the president of the subdistrict to execute the CEA forthwith. Subject to the review and approval by council to the.
That's the wrong document. I think
Am I looking wrong?
that's the other.
We've got some.
I know.
It's
Still section 2.
Still section 2.
Okay. Okay, so yes, it is still section 2. It should be the document that says RD&I subdistrict at the top and the title resolution authorizing a temporary freeze and ad valorem taxes. It's a two-page
We have
packet.
that, we have that page.
Yes, sir, you should.
Packet with-
And it should be, it's in the second packet. And it should be 2 pages back and front.
The same.
Mike, can I read the same language that y'all approved, or
Yes.
rather the commission approved the
That would
first time around, so it could be the same?
Absolutely.
The language you added was following restated CEA forthwith. The addition is after review and approval of council for the parties.
Is that the one? That's, she look at the rest of it? Section 2 is the one
That
after
was-
exhibit A.
Yeah.
Be the same additional language.
Yeah, so it'll be the same additional language, but it should go right after on section 2. The final word or the final words in section 2 is exhibit A. So it will start a new sentence. Or I'm sorry, it'll be,
You should put a comma and say subject to.
yeah, it'll be a comma, the subject, a comma, and then the language that we that Allison mentioned that was in the prior amendment.
Can I get a motion to amend? Moved and seconded, right? And can I get a motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And can I get a motion to adopt as amended?
Camille moves.
Thank you, All right, we got a move in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, where are we now, Mike?
Okay, so we're on number 7. And basically what you're gonna be doing is approving the same amended and restated CEA that you approved in your capacity as a district during the first meeting. And so it would be the same documents. We would need the same amendment to the resolution in section 2 that we had before, and it would go right after the word. Make sure that I'm looking forthwith, be forthwith, comma, and then we'll have the language that was approved for the other 2 resolutions.
So we need to move to amend.
Yes.
Can I
So
get-
moved, Jerry Broussard.
Second, Chase.
Seconded by Chase, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then can I get a motion to approve as amended?
Camille moves.
Oh,
Second, Broussard.
Seconded by Broussard, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're on item number 8, which is appointment of a fiscal agent, bank or credit union, and authorization to establish one or more checking or savings accounts. I think we can just move to adopt the fiscal agent and checking savings account as the districts.
Yeah, so moved.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we need to designate, I'm sorry.
Not bad. We don't have much choice on the next one, but good.
I know, it's unfortunate. So the designation of the official journal, unfortunately, here in New Orleans, our only official journal that meets that standard is the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. I'll move to designate it as the official journal,
Second.
seconded by
Ellis.
Ellis. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any comments from the board members? Any comments from the convention center, Mr. Sawaya?
You know, I just want to thank everyone. What a monumental week, a historic week for New Orleans, no question. Thank all of you who were at the groundbreaking. I can't tell you how this is just the start of something that changes the city forever and in a very positive way. These agreements will all benefit everyone involved. And we're really excited to be a part of it and really excited to recommend it. Today is a new beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sawaya. With that, I'll move to adjourn. Seconded by Commissioner Wright. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all. Thank you on a Friday.
Mr. Ellis, are you headed in?
Aye.